Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. So we spend a lot of time on this channel talking about YieldMax funds and Defiance funds and all these super high dividend ETFs. But I wanted to go back and look at some of the actually viable alternatives to YieldMax. Some of the ones we used to talk about on this channel before YieldMax ever became a thing, such a big thing, so popular. We used to talk about SVOL, GOF, and TLTW. So I just want to go and look at these three. I actually got back into SVOL, which, looking back, I actually sold out of SVOL to get into TSLY, which didn't quite pan out, as well as I might have wanted it to. I mean, we did increase the dividend yield, but SVOL is definitely a lot more stable. So let's go and look, and I'll hopefully we'll come to a mutual conclusion at the end of this video about which ones might be some good viable alternatives and where we stand. So let me share. I know how much you all love videos where I'm just kind of rattling off, the performance of different funds and stuff on Yahoo Finance. So what better way to start out a video than by doing just that, right? So we're going to look at Yahoo Finance. We'll start out with SVOL because I was actually looking at this last week. And let's see. So SVOL is the simplified volatility ETF. So we're at 22.77. Now the dividend yield has stayed pretty consistent on this one. We were almost at 18% at one point. If I remember correctly, this was usually a 32-cent dividend payout per month. So it does seem like 1% lower. So I'll have to look at what's changed since I was last in this. Well, in it, more so because I got back in a little bit. I bought like 100 shares. So let's look at year to date. So we had a drop in this one October 23rd. So we had dropped like to 21.51. So looking back, this would have been a good buy point. Second buy point, March 13th. So this one, I remember a lot of concerns about how when the overall volatility in the market changed, how this one, there was some concerns that this might not be such a stable fund. But compared to YieldMax funds, this has proved to actually be very stable. And it pays a solid dividend. So this is one, when I was doing the series of, retire on $1 million in, this was one that made the list before we ever started talking about the YieldMax funds. So in the 5-year history here, this one actually used to trade at almost $28. You see here, $26.52. If I go back a little further, it looks like it's been around since, I want to say, May 2021. And it started around, $26, and it peaked out at $28. But as far as this year, we've stayed in the $22, almost $23 range. We were at $23.12 here, so that's been our peak. So really, 52 weeks, we've gone from $20.95 to $23.25. So that's a much tighter range than what we're accustomed to with YieldMax funds. As far as, the low point was, it's showing 21.22, but intraday it was around $20.95 at one point. Now let's go look at the historical dividends. And I want to say, I know the expense ratio, I think, went up. At least some of you all told me that in the Discord. Okay, so the dividend has been cut a bit. So it looks like the expense ratio went up and the dividend has been cut. So we had a 30-cent dividend November 27th. Also 30 cents October 26th. 30 cents. So it's been 30 cents for, at least from what I can see, the last 4 months in a row. Going back to, July. Wow, because it used to be 32 cents. What happened to our 2 cents? Well, I'll throw my 2 cents in as to my theories on what happened to it in just a second here. But first, I got to find out when. Okay, so June 27th was the last day that it paid a 32-cent dividend. So it looks like the dividend was cut in July. So since then, it's been 30 cents. But still, overall, a pretty solid dividend. So this is one that I wouldn't mind getting back into. And let me know in the comments what you all's thoughts are on SVOL. Okay, I'm getting a comment here that they changed their holdings. Wow, looks like Mr. Cardona here made another live stream. That's good. Well, let me go back here. Let me do some more cutting edge research. So let me actually go to a tab I don't go to often enough, the holdings tab. So it looks like we've got bonds, 73%, government bonds, and then a bond ETFs here. So interesting. How about that? And then look at the peer group of what people all watch. So 3 of the funds in the peer group are Tesla, OARK, and NVDY, and then TLTW, which is another one we're going to look at. And then I'll even look at SPYI. Actually, I'll probably save that one till the end. But let me actually look at TLTW next, because I know this has been a fan favorite in the past. And then we'll read all the comments at the end. So let the comments build up, let them ferment, and we'll read them towards the end. So as far as now, TLTW is actually showing their yield now. They used to not do it. I remember I would have to go calculate it, but it's holding steady at almost a 20% payout, which is pretty solid. $28 a share. 52-week range is 26.70 to 35.55. So a little bit wider of a range than SVOL. But this one has actually fallen since the beginning of the year. September, we fell to 27. We actually fell to 26.91 here, and we're at 28.45. But as far as the dividends, it seems like the dividends have definitely stayed solid. And then the next one, which I'm really chomping at the bit to look at, is going to be the GOF fund, which kind of fell almost in half, but I think it started to recover. So first, let me look at dividends only over the past year. And we've got, okay, we just had a 40-cent dividend, November 2nd, 29 cents, October 3rd, 33 cents. So we see some fluctuation. August, we didn't have such a good one. We had a 54-cent dividend in July. So comparatively speaking, so this one obviously trades a lot higher than Tesla, thanks in part to the declining value of the fund. So on a $28 per share price, a 53-cent dividend, I mean, as far as dollar amount, that's actually close to what we've been getting some months in Tesla. And this does seem to be more stable, at least in terms of NAV erosion. So we had a whopping 65 cents in April. It looks like, according to this, I'm not seeing January, but February and March were, so 46 cents and almost 31 cents, 53 cents here. So our 8-month high, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 65 cents was our 8-month high, but we had a 53 cent twice. Well, this was 54 cents here. So as far as like NAV erosion, let me see. So we've lost, if you got in at the beginning of the year, you would actually be down over $6, like $6.50. So that's a pretty significant NAV erosion. Not quite as bad as some of the YieldMax funds. But yeah, that one, I would say SVOL right now is the winner of the ones we've looked at. Let's look at GOF next. And these are funds that, like I said, since I've been so focused on YieldMax, these are actually, you know, there's not as much buzz around these, I feel like. But I feel like since we started looking at YieldMax, we haven't looked at all of these in a while. Of course, Hoffman's focused on his drag name in the comments. We'll get to all that later on. But let's see, as far as the GOF fund, we're at 1334. So it looks like we've started to recover slightly. We're still at an 18% dividend, which the dividend percentage is higher when the fund drops. That's what I call, you know, the dividend paradox, is that, you know, so the dividend payout stays the same, but the percentage goes up when the fund drops. So it looks like, oh, wow, we just got like a higher dividend percentage, but it's because the fund is dropping in this case. So since the beginning of the year, we were trading at, now this doesn't actually look too bad, relatively speaking. We're only down like 350 since the beginning of the year. Our bottom point here was actually, yeah, I remember in October, we fell down to like 1096 at one point. So the 52-week range on this one, this actually is a little reminiscent of a YieldMax fund with a 52-week range. 1096 was the low point, 1739 was the high point, and then we're getting a $2.19 annual dividends. That's 17.93%. So pretty solid, and actually $13.34 is, relatively speaking, a cheaper price to pay for one of these ETFs. Now let's look at our dividend history here to look like by month. And then I will look at the SPYI. That one I know gets a lot of fanfare. I know some of you are concerned about the company that does that one, but it seems like that one is doing okay, doing fairly solid for the year. So November 14th, we had an 18-cent dividend, 18 cents. So this dividend really hasn't changed. And one of the draws to this fund, at least for me, when you look all the way back to the Great Recession, the last financial crash in 08 and 09, this fund did not stop. Not only did it not stop paying a dividend, but it held steady as far as the dividends that it paid. So this one has a pretty reliable history, which was why I was shocked. I was really shocked the way that it fell so rapidly in October. But if we look here, it's 18 cents pretty much every month. Let me actually filter for dividends only, and we'll look over a year just to make sure. So I'm going to filter dividends only, and let's go back 5 years. We can even go back to the maximum and look all the way back to 08 and 09, but we'll just look at the 5 years for now. So check this out. This is pretty solid. It's paid an 18.2-cent dividend almost as far back as we can see. And we're going back to like almost 2020 here. So even during the pandemic, look at this. These dividends did not fluctuate at all. So this is really a stable alternative, I would say. I mean, look at that. In 5 years, not one single fluctuation in the dividend payout per month. Let me go back further, because I know this wasn't always 18.2 cents. So let me go back further, go to the maximum here, and then we'll look at SPYI, then we'll get to all of our fun comments. It looks like we've got a lot of them lining up. So let's see. All the way back to 2017, 2016. Look at this one. This is like the most solidly, consistently paying as far as the same dividend. Oh, here is where it changed, 2013. So how about that? You've got to go back over 10 years to see when the last time this dividend changed in this fund. So that's a very impressive track record for those folks that run the Guggenheim Fund here. Now, if we go back to, you can see here 09, 08, look at that, not one fluctuation. They actually increased their dividend in 2008 despite the financial crash. So that's pretty solid. Now let's look at, as far as bonus content, we'll look at SPYI, and I'll add that to the title after this video. Let me check something here. Oh, we've got Hoffman is really all over the comment section here. Let's see here. All right, so I do find it funny. The last video I did that got almost 2,000 views, and it was just not necessarily a very thoroughly prepped video. But anyway, neither here nor there. Now looking at the SPYI, this NEO's S&P 500 high income ETF, 47.71, up 14 cents in Friday's trading. This peaked at $50 July 17th. We were down to 45.08. 44.90 was the low point. 50.62 was the high point of the 52-week range. The yield is only 8%, but I believe, I want to say this mirrors the S&P, and I believe if you look from beginning of the year to where we are year to date, which is hard to believe, we're almost through 2023, but I believe we're actually up despite all the fluctuations this year. We're up in total like 3%. So with that being said, that is the SPYI. Now it looks like tomorrow we're slightly down in the futures. Let's just look at historical prices, dividends. Let's look from the past year just to see what we're looking at. In terms of like actual dollar payout, I mean, it looks pretty solid. I mean, in the 40-cent range. We had one 50-cent one here, or some people say 50 cent. And then we had 47 cents, 48, 49. So yeah, I mean, that seems pretty stable. So, all right, there's four funds I threw out there that are pretty stable alternatives to YieldMax that I just wanted to take another gander at. I would say, as far as all of them, I would go for, I like SVOL a lot. Now we can get to really important stuff like comments. So let's see here. Our first comment, we had Hoffman on, of course, and he says, shocker. He's a tough one to please. Denny Keaton says, customary howdy. Oh, we got a comment other than a howdy from Denny Keaton. He says, I've been buying TLTW. That's right. That's how you found me, right? You're the TLTW guy. You think it's a good time. I would actually own all of these, but as far as like value, I'm liking the GOF fund a lot. I might actually choose GOF. This may shock you all, but I may actually choose GOF over SVOL at this point. But I'd probably just go 50-50. SVOL just changed its holdings. Yeah, a lot of bond stuff too. And then the expense ratio changed. Mr. Cardona was on. Glad you were able to make a live stream. One ETF that surprised me has been Maxi. It went from like 15 to 21, but it pays 15 cents only. Well, that's interesting. So we had an increasing NAV and a solid dividend. So that's always a plus. Those 30-cent payouts are return of capital as the VIX long-term is flat. That's what I was thinking too. We need a better contango spread, which just happened to be my drag name. Yeah, I thought it was something along those lines. I was going to say, you ought to post a picture of you in the drag days as for your profile. TLTW goes down when bonds go down. Now that rates have paused, stopped, soon to be lowered, time to jump in. Like I said, next year, I think everything's going to be looking really good next year. We won't hear that I word at all, I'm thinking. So yeah. TLTW will be the winner as rates drop. Now, I wonder why that is. Is that because, so the way I look at it, and this is, I just got out of these, the I-series bonds because the rates fell. They were paying like 9% last year, but the rates fell like to 3% because, of course, inflation's just, nothing anymore, according to the media. So not really. Just go around and look. But 3%, supposedly that's like indexed for the CPI, which isn't always entirely accurate, as we know. But I actually got out of them because they're not paying the 9% that they were. So I wonder why there's some kind of inverse correlation for TLTW. And you're saying it's going to be the winner. SVOL is changing as the VIX is lower. GOF gets an LOL from Mr. Hoffman. Now we've got Gertaj Pada. Question I have is, why does YieldMax keep launching new ETFs without building a history? As a lot of questions are still, I'm assuming you mean unanswered. Well, they keep churning them out, and they've got some new ones in the works, of course. I'm looking forward to the YieldMax Fund of Funds. Hoffman says someone has to be. Yeah, we were all waiting for info. Well, yeah, I hope you got something. At least you got some tickers that the coach happens to like. TLTW is your Fed pivot play. Well, good to know. I want to get into all of these. Killer Poet. So with a name like that, you must write some really good poetry. You'll have to send us some. I have a little over 70K in Tesla at around 180 DCA, and I'm now loading up on Tesla. Been very happy so far. Well, that's good for you. Money in the Bank is on. Oh, that's the Mr. GOF fan. But your comments about SVOL. SVOL will raise their expense ratio, right? How about this? We're getting a lot of comments here from Mr. Denny Keaton. Yes, I'm thinking their time has come. Election year. Market will be great, of course. Make the markets great again, right? That's that's definitely going to be. We're going to have everything looking great next year. It almost makes you wish every year could be election year, right? I'm a bit concerned about SVOL now. I've reduced my holdings in it. Okay. YieldMax Coney has been going up. I know. Tell me about it. That's the one I wish I was in, actually. As long as the Bitcoin keeps going on. Oh, so you're thinking because of the Bitcoin halving next year, that's going to help Coinbase, which will in turn help Coney. Yeah, I wish I got in. I like Coney too. Election year is flat market for 6 months. No, I think the market will be going up solidly. I think everything's going to look great. And I think Killer Poet's going to give us some great poetry here very soon. I'm predicting. I don't have my 8-ball, excuse me, the advanced financial forecasting equipment with me, so I can't predict the future. Normally, when I have that in my hand, I can, but we will see for sure. Market will be great even if it's not. Just like inflation. Inflation's great even when it's not, right? Hey, you know, like they say, when things aren't going your way, just change the definition, you know? So what I would do for Hoffman, when I have a video that's not informative, I would just say this was an incredibly informative, super educational video where I looked at charts and ticker symbols, right? So that's what we got to do, you know? Oh, Door Gunner. I've actually seen you on some other channels. Believe it or not, every now and then I go around and look at other channels. That is what I was saying before Coney came out. Coinbase was going to pump from the crypto bull run. That all makes sense. That definitely all makes sense. I agree with that. Oh, you want me to look at Zim? Zim is at 7. It's better than the last few. What, as far as video? Well, I prepped more. Can't you tell? So the funny thing is, all right, here's what I find funny about YouTube. I know you all don't like me to talk about YouTube metrics, but believe it or not, analyzing revenue and all that, that's also financial too. And this is a financial channel after all. But what I find funny, what you all will watch. So I did a video in the morning that I really prepped for. So the last time I posted, I put 2 videos out the same day, right? So I did a video on, in the third video in this series, it was on NVDY, I believe. And it was on the dollar cost averaging, like how you would have come out. Didn't even crack 500 views. Later in the day, I do one where I just talk about the dividends and the defiance funds. And what does it do? It defies the odds. So I pick up 26 subscribers. I pick up 2,000 views, and it does really well. And so that's the thing. That's the conundrum with YouTube. I can't complain. I mean, I love it. You know, when I do something like that, like you all just eat up this dividend stuff. I can just get on here. I can read charts and talk about it, and you guys just eat it up, which I love. It's great. You know, every 1,000 views, you know, there's a certain CPM structure within YouTube. So I love it. The more thousands of views I get, the better. And it's a win-win for us all. So it has actual content. Well, I thought, you know, everything where I'm facing a camera and talking is content, whether you think so or not. You know what we should do? I was thinking actually I should do a second channel, and I should call it Hoffman's Filtered Topics, so that we filter what you want us to talk about. That was just an idea that I had. But anyway, yeah, actual content. So let's see. Election year will be okay because Congress and CONUS will be quiet. Who's CONUS? Well, they just expelled that guy from Congress, so all should be swell now, right? Zim doesn't have a dividend right now, does it? I don't believe so. I'm not going to look at that one right now. I know you all want to bait me into looking at Zim. Let's see here. Oh, look here. Andre Brown is on, aka New World Order. YieldMax I use as alternatives. Oh, you know, I'm going to do another video too because there's so many. JEPI, JEPQ, those are 2 that actually should have been in this one. SPYI we looked at, PFFA, USA, CFSS, CEFS, GPIX, GEPIQ, FEPI. Oh yeah, that one is good. CHW. So we'll look at those for sure. Zim will not pay dividends for a while. Let's see. That's because the spreadsheet is tough to read. Clickbait King must have something to do with my thumbnail designer, because those thumbnails, you know, get the attention, right? But yeah, I should do that, shouldn't I? What I was thinking, so the spreadsheet, so I can actually zoom way in. Let's actually try that out right now. We'll just do, for all of you loyal fans that have stayed tuned all the way to the end, I've turned a 10-minute video into a 24-minute, which is great for watch time, which isn't an issue anymore. It used to be at one point. But anyway. Okay, so let me do this real quick for all of you loyal fans. Let's test something out here. So I'm going to share the spreadsheet that I just had. Last video. Make sure I don't share anything too sensitive here. All right, so here we go. I'm going to show this really zoomed in. And let me know, this is as far as I can zoom in. So let me know if this is readable. All right. So this was the last video I did on the NVDY. And this is as far in as it can zoom. So I know it's tough to read on a phone. I'm actually on my phone right now looking, and I can read the screen. So I can actually, well, without my glasses, it's blurry, but I can read it. With the glasses, I can see it fine. So anyway, that's as far as I can zoom in. Let me know if that's okay. Now back to the main event here. Let's see, Zim. You guys love Zim, don't you? Zim will not pay dividends for a while. Clickbait, yeah. Sold all my YieldMax Defiance funds, just watching them from the sidelines. Oh, okay. Oh, Sonia is on and says, you are hilarious and most nicely optimistic. I love that. I'll have to write that down and put that on my mirror when I need to feel better about myself. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. But thank you for your comment. I'm thinking OARK may be on the move with so many of its holdings going up. Very interested to see all the payout info on all these ETFs on the 6th. We'll definitely do a video. We'll do a video just for Huffman where I'll rattle off what the dividends are. I'll play Captain stating the obvious, you know. So I mean, it's really, as far as views, that video where I do that, it'll get like 2,000 views at least. Can't complain. Until Kumair live streams it on his Discord. We'll have to have a talk with him about that. That can be a two-way street, by the way. I'm going to get that going on mine. So we like to, as fellow YouTubers, we like to all play nice. At least that's what I'd like us to do. POTUS. Oh, we have a POTUS mention. POTUS will be quiet. Instando of CONUS. That's funny. Lots of us are on the phone, so go big. Go big or go home, right? Oh, geez. And let's see. We got a Gurtaj Pada account. Can we discuss the 0 DTE versus what YieldMax is doing on a longer time span? We will. I'm going to have spreadsheets for all that, and I'll keep going back over and over. So anyway, oh, and we can't end the video without a comment from Black Jacket. One of the few high dividend channels you can actually learn something from. See, you learn from the coach, right? Are you going to have Jay on again before the new year? I'm hoping so, because I tell you what, that is like an IV in terms of the channels. Like, it's like injecting an IV into the channel. And I got to do that because some of my fellow YouTubers are catching up to me. So I gotta keep Uncle Jay coming back on. I'd like to have him on. He probably won't come back on at the end of the year. I'd like to do it once a quarter. So since we did November 15th, I'm thinking maybe like February 15th or something. So we'll see. Definitely need Uncle Jay to keep helping the videos out. I'm just kidding. He's not really my uncle. That's a joke. Anyway, we got an LOL, and then we got DM3 Invest. Keep up the great work, Coach. Appreciate you keeping us informed. Of course, I do it for all of you all. And the views and the ad revenue. In that order, though. Thanks, that would be great. Awesome. So we'll end on that note. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all so much for staying through the whole way. 37 of you. See, look at that. We had a pretty good turnout. Class was just about full this evening. We only had like 45 slots in the class, so we were almost full. Oh, we got one more. Tesla seems like it'll pay 57 cents. Well, that's what the other one that I just showed. One of the other ones is already paying that, but you'd have to have a lot more shares. But anyway, so let's see. Oh, we keep on. Maybe also reach out to the finance guys as well. That is a homework assignment for one of you all. I need you all. One of you will get a very special prize from the coach if you can get one of the Defiance people on Defy the Odds. So we got Jay on. Now we need to get some of those guys on next. So if only it had been scheduled. Well, now that you mentioned that, let me address that elephant in the room. So here's the problem with that. Okay, so I would like to be I'd like to be one of these channels that posts 5, 6, 7 times a day, right? I know my time management skills aren't the best. You know, I'm not like raising kids or anything like that. I do have a lot going on. And the problem is some of my groups that I'm in, like I sign up for stuff that I'm doing like a month in advance. Sometimes stuff comes up. And if I tell you all 7 o'clock every day, I can't commit to every day at 7 o'clock because there are things that are going to come up. Like I may make, and I'm leaning towards this. I am leaning towards it because that's been asked of me a lot. So I'm leaning towards like saying, all right, 7 o'clock. And I'd like to do every day. But if I do it like 3 times a week, I'll probably make 70% of that times. But I know I'm going to miss a couple of those. And it's probably, I don't know, going to throw off the algorithm. So ideally, in a perfect world, I would post every day. I'd like to do this full time. Just post 7 times a day, By the way, I did have a breakthrough, so I don't have to rely on the MacBook when I get back home or to my other house. I have my desktop, so I got the headset and I got the sound and stuff working, so I can share Thinkorswim, and I can I have audio too. So that's going to be a major breakthrough for the channel. It's like the channel going from like the Stone Age to the Ice Age. No, I'm just kidding. It really is. It's like an evolution for the channel. It's going to be huge for sure. Let's see what we got. It would be great to have their views. Whose views? Oh, the other channels? Sure. Redistribute the views. Bring them all to me, right? Do 2 live streams scheduled, then some bonus videos. And then maybe I can do a Discord stream where maybe I can, I don't know, poach some views away from another YouTuber. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I probably wouldn't do that. We know you cannot do it so much. The Cougars don't let you schedule as you wish. Yeah, you know, that's definitely juggling a lot for sure. Well, anyway, all right, you all kept me a few more. You got some bonus time out of the coach. But like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. We need to get that number to 4,000 by the end of the year. We've got about 28 days to do that. So we want to be at 4,000. Thank you all again. Take care. Have a great evening, and we will see you soon.